Okay.
So the last topic, API testing, we need to discuss. You can find under pages, API automation testing, REST assured. Okay. So this is the one. So we should understand what is a client and what is a server. Okay. Basically, a server is a connection point to all the clients. Okay, several clients over the network. That's a server. So the server will basically handles the requests. So client will send the request and it will respond to that request. So, and what is a client? Client is basically, it connects to the server to perform some actions. The client provide a user interface. Here you have a user interface and you will give some instructions to interact with the server. That's what the client. Then you need to understand this, what is presentation layer, business logic area, and data layer. So presentation layer means the front end where you can see all your the static data, dynamic data. You can see that is developed by HTML5, JavaScript, and CSS. So these are the things you will use to develop this. And there is application layer. Okay. Application layer is Java, .NET, C#, Python, C++, some programming languages you will use to write the business logic. Basically, application code you will write using these programming languages. And data layer is basically the data where it will store, right, in the databases. So the databases you have MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, and SQL Server, right? These are all the database names. But for MongoDB, these are the NoSQLs, okay? So one is SQL and NoSQL, two categories are there. So basically SQL means there is a tables and all structure you have. But in this MongoDB and NoSQL, there is a key value pair concept. You can store in the JSON format also. So that concept was not there in the these Oracle database and those, but now they are introducing that also because of competition with from the MongoDB and PostgreSQL, because they are giving a tough time for Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, all those things. So what is an API? API means application programming interface. So basically, enables the communication, so to exchange the data between two different systems. So two software systems, the interaction will be happening through communication. That communication is done by these APIs, and then they will exchange the data. So how software system implementing this API is, you will write some functions. So basically developer will write functions and subroutines. Functions, we will call them in the Java, JavaScript, and other programming languages. Subroutines you can call in the Go language, other programming languages. So then what are the API examples? You have Maps API, right? Weather API, Amazon Advertising API, Twitter API, YouTube API. So these are all some of the examples of the APIs. If anybody asks you, give me some examples of public available APIs, you can give all this. And even you can give weather API. Okay, that's also a famous one. And example, still you want to explain more. So when you are using a online portal for our shopping, So you will pay the amount, right, through credit card or debit card or net banking, anything. But no, Amazon doesn't build all the bank system there. So what they will do, they will send the API to the bank. That's another system. Amazon is another system, two different applications. So they will talk each other through APIs. That's what the API means. So when the Amazon sends the request to the bank's website, and so to confirm the bank details and the authentication and authorization you have to give, then it will validate, okay, you are the right user. So then it will start so deducting the amount from that bank. Otherwise it won't deduct. So that's the APIs will do that very quickly. And what is a web service? So web service is a it's a kind of machine to machine interaction will happen over the network, over the internet. That is called web service. So you have a Java based application can talk to a .NET based application in the Linux machine, and the communication can be done through either set of XML or JSON messages or HTTP protocols. And so what is the difference between web service and an API? So this is the very important interview question. So all web services are APIs, but all APIs are not web services. So web service uses only SOAP, REST, and XML RPC for communication. And API may use any style for communication. Web services are self-contained, and APIs are open source and can be used anywhere. And web services can only be hosted on Internet Information Service, and APIs can be hosted within the application or IaaS. So web service might not perform all operations that an API is going to perform. API can perform all the tasks that web services can do. So web service requires a SOAP protocol to receive and send data over the network. So it is not all lightweight architecture. So, and API is a very lightweight architecture and good for devices so which have a limited bandwidth like mobile devices. So these APIs are very, very useful. And web services needs network for its operation. API doesn't need network for its operation. So this is one of the difference. You need to read this. This is the common interview question also. Then what is API testing? So, okay, some function they have written, developers will write the function. So make a payment or book a ticket. So these are all APIs, they will give a name, okay, some name. So whether that is working or not, we need to check, right? So how to check the functionality, how quickly it is responding, how secure it is, all this you have to perform on that API, whether it is working or not, whether it is reliable or not, whether it is performing very good or not. And so no hackers are attacked in the middle. So in the network layer, so nothing will happen. So all this is called API testing. So basically API testing, she is going to determine if the developed APIs are meeting the customer expectations regarding the functionality, reliability, performance, and the security of the application. So that is the API testing means. So what are the advantages of API testing? So what are the advantages of API testing? So API testing basically provides access to the application without a user interface. You don't need a UI to have interaction with that. If you want to work with any application, if you have API, that's enough. Like you want to create an account. You don't need a UI. You don't need to go to UI and do all the stuff to sign up. If you have a API, just like a create account, that API they will create, right? The function they will create. And you have to give an input for this. Automatically, it will create account for you in a fraction of seconds. So only the time consuming is the data preparation. That's it. Like you have to give a body. So the input data you have to give. So key value pair format in the JSON or XML format you have to give. So then it will create the account. So that's the first advantage. But the main another advantage is you can, so the core and code level of functionalities of the application will be tested and evaluated early before the GUI test case. For GUI testing before, you can test this API test. So that you can find out any functional issues, anything with this. So API testing is usually less time consuming than functional GUI testing. Functional testing, it will take more time. But so API testing takes a very less time. No, because you don't need much time. One time if you prepare a collection or anything or automation, it's a fraction of seconds it will give out. So that's the API testing, another advantage. So and also it requires a less code. So it can provide a better and faster test coverage compared to GUI test automation. So GUI, you have to write a lot of code, right? With the Selenium Java, or Selenium Python, or Selenium C# or Selenium Ruby, or Selenium JavaScript. You have to write a lot of code. But here, very less code you can write. That's another advantage of this API testing. So in the API testing, data can be exchanged using XML or JSON format. So what this XML or JSON will do is, basically these are the language independent. What are the programming language you're using? It doesn't matter. So XML, JSON, you can use all the programming languages. So that's why users will select this language when you are doing automation testing with APIs. And what are the difference between API testing and unit testing? So API testing is performed by QA team, and unit testing is performed by development team. API testing is a black box kind of testing, and unit testing is a white box testing. And API testing is mainly aimed to assess the full functionality of the system. And so unit testing is, so you will be used to test individual units. So unit is performing as per expectation or not, you will check. Each unit or each function, you will check. That's the unit testing. So once build is ready, and you can start testing the APIs. So when the developers write the code, they have to write unit test cases to check whether their function or their code is working properly or not. That purpose you will do unit testing. Unit testing can be done in many ways. You can use a JUnit also. Marketo. There are a lot of options will be there. So what are the different features of web service? We have interoperability, reuse already developed functionality into a new software. That means you don't need to develop entire software in the current application. So loosely coupled, extensibility, you can extend to new features. So those are the advantages of web services. There are two types of web services. One is SOAP, RESTful web services. So basically, we'll discuss more on REST assured only, RESTful web services. So we won't bother about SOAP, but let's understand a little bit. So what is SOAP and how it was very good in once upon a time. And SOAP starts for simple object access protocol. So it is a protocol. Okay, SOAP is a protocol to exchange the information using request and response in XML format only. So, and also the protocols HTTP and SMTP protocols we will use. The role of SOAP library is a client and a service provider will be there. Okay. And you will send in the XML format a request. And it will take the response back and it will be useful. So that's a SOAP. SOAP has many components like simple access object protocol, web service description language. This is called WSDL. Universal description, discovery, and integration. UD we call this. So these are the three components are there in the SOAP. What is WSDL? So WSDL file we call this. This is the file where you have entire logic, what it has to be done, what is the endpoint URL, what is the port, what is the method name, what are the arguments you need to pass, what data types, and what is the URI. All this will be mentioned in this WSDL file. Basically, entire functionality will be mentioned in the WSDL file. That's the WSDL file means. So what is UD? So UD is basically universal description, discovery, and integration. Universal description, discovery, and integration. So it is a directory service, basically, like our phone directory. So web service provider can register themselves with the UD and make themselves available through it for a discovery. So that's what the UD means. So what are the different SOAP testing tools? Not RESTful web services tools. We are talking about the SOAP web service tools. There are SOAP, JMeter, UFT, all these tools you can use. That's the SOAP. Any questions?
No, Ramesh.
Oh. So you can, people, these are costly, okay? These two are costly. So you need to pay license for this. You need to get the license from these companies. But JMeter also you have a licensed one, you have free one. You can use a free one, not a problem. And RESTful web services. RESTful means, so it's an architectural style, so which is brought by Roy Fielding in 2000 in his medical thesis. REST means what is representational state transfer. It provides communication between the client and the server using ordinary HTTP request, So what are the HTTP verb methods? You have a get, post, put, delete. These are the four only. These are the four only you can use. So most of the cases, get, put, post, delete. Get, post, put, delete. So basically it transfers the information from the client in the requested parameters. So that's what this HTTP request methods and this RESTful web services, what it will do. So information from a server in the body of the response. So basically it can be an XML or JSON or a text format, any format you can send the request. So request can be sent in the JSON format or XML format or so any other format, whichever format you like. So that's a RESTful web services means. So basically REST API works on the HTTP protocol. So RESTful service uses four methods like get to, post to, put to, delete. Get, post, put, delete. And so basically these methods are restricted to storing client status on the server. Basically stateless, we call that. So that's all. But let's understand consumers means what, providers means. Consumers is who initiate a connection and send a request. Providers are servers who are waiting for a connection to receive a request. So take the necessary action and return a message with the result. So these are the consumers and providers. Okay. Yeah. So REST supports all these formats: JSON, XML, HTML, text format. So what are the format you want to send in input data? It will be supported all these formats. So generally an API will have these fields: elements of web services API, elements of web services. These are all same, receiving the data. Okay. Okay. So that's fine. And we need to understand here what is a SOAP and REST difference. Then we'll move on to the structure of any API. So what are all the things will be there? We'll discuss. So what is the difference between a SOAP and REST? SOAP is only XML based message protocol. So it accepts only XML based. It won't accept JSON format. That's a SOAP. And REST is a architectural style. And SOAP uses a WSDL to communicate between the consumer and provider. REST uses XML or JSON to send and receive the data. Basically, SOAP is, calls RPC method to invoke services, and REST calls services via URL path. And SOAP basically uses a RPC method to invoke the any service, and REST, so it is just a plain XML or JSON, and SOAP transfers over HTTP and other protocols such as SMTP and FTP, and the REST transfers over HTTP only. And SOAP, JavaScript can call SOAP, however it is difficult to implement. So REST can call from JavaScript. REST transfers only HTTP protocol. So performance is minimal as compared to REST. So, and REST performance is better than SOAP. REST is less CPU intensive and produces learner code. So that's the whole, so the difference between SOAP and REST. So microservice and the REST architecture. See that. Constraint on REST is a client server, stateless, cache, layered system, on-demand code. So you can see there HTTP request, then you are calling a get call. So this is the method, and you need to move back. So if this get method is returning an output, you need to move back. So that's the any HTTP request structure. Get to the endpoint URI. Then if there is a edit box or something you want to give a data, then you can use a body. Then you can see the response. Suppose you see a method is get, URI is this one, version, headers, body. So all this, if you're getting a, right? So everything you will get here. This is the structure of any REST API. So client and server. So API endpoint URL plus API method. So these are the two things. Okay. We observed here request C, REST API endpoint URL plus API method plus parameters. So once you request hit the server, you can send back. Okay. So this diagram explains very detailed one. So REST API, RESTful web services, see that verb plus URL. So verb means like, get to, post to, put to, delete. So these are the four, RESTful methods. And so the response you will get back, and it will catch this request, and it will be another way to interact with response and application code. So which REST constraints you will use mostly? So cookies. So what is mean by URI? URI is so basically it stands for Uniform Resource Identifier. It's a sequence of characters that identifies a web resource by location, name, both in the worldwide, right? Every resource has a name, property, and date of birth, age, all these things will be there. So you can find the location based also, location, name, both in the worldwide. Yeah, let's jump back and we'll understand this URN, URI, URLs. We'll understand these things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, these are so first 2 days theory, don't worry, but we'll practice on the
Mhm.
program. Yeah.